and welcome again. This is the Growing Hemp for Grain and Fiber webinar, and a couple of housekeeping tips before we get started. If anyone's having connectivity issues, please try turning your video off, and it might help with your connectivity. If you have any questions throughout the next hour or so, please go ahead and put them in the chat box, and we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can after the panel discussion. And this is being recorded, so the recording will be available afterwards. As I mentioned, my name is Kelly Flynn. I and David DeWitt, both from Clemson University, are your hosts for this evening. I am the coordinator of the Emerging Crops Program, and David is the extension hemp specialist and a row crop agent here in South Carolina. So I just wanted to give you a very brief overview of what we're doing here at Clemson to address some research needs around industrial hemp, including some low-tech tissue culture research, some issues surrounding greenhouse propagation, manipulation of THC using different hormone treatments, root morphology between seeded plants, biofuel production and efficiency of biofuels, hemp using from hemp, and then the effect of different soil amendments on the CBD production. And then, of course, what we're all interested in tonight is our hemp fiber and grain variety trial, and that this year will include 14 different cultivars. We'll be growing those over 2 research stations and 4 individual farms around South Carolina. And in addition to that, we have partnered with an organization, Native Health Matters, who have connected us with multiple tribal partners from various tribal nations around the country, where some of these cultivars will also be grown. Come on, there we go. So for the benefit of the folks in the audience, I don't like to leave anyone behind, so I'm going to kind of bring everyone up to speed really quickly on just the very basics of fiber and grain production. When we're talking about fiber and grain production, we're talking about an agronomic production system, which differs from the typical production system that a lot of people think of when you think of hemp, which is a horticultural type production system where you're growing for CBD and flour. Agronomic hemp is marketed for grain, the long, strong fibers it produces, and biomass, which can be processed into different products. And it can grow anywhere from 3 to 18 feet tall. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll here. And I'm going to share those results. I'll put them off to the side here so folks can get an idea of, who's in the audience. So moving on, oops. The intended market for hemp dictates the planting density. Currently, we're working off a model of 1 million seeds per acre for fiber production and 600,000 seeds per acre for grain. And that's mostly due to the fact that in fiber production, the more densely the seed is planted, the longer and thinner the plants will grow, and which produces more bast, the bast fiber, the fiber from the outer layer of the plant per acre. And then, of course, a less dense planting will allow for more grain production. Something that's really important to keep in mind when we're talking about hemp is that the seed varies in size really greatly. So 1 pound of hemp seed can have anywhere from 11,000 to 94,000 seeds. So that's also one reason why we're using a seeds per acre model instead of pounds per acre. And of course, the products of interest are the grain and the stalks. And in the stalks, you have a woody core here, which is called the hurd, or some people call it the shive or shiv, I've heard it called also. And then, of course, the bast fiber, which is the outer layer of the stalk, where those these long stringy fibers. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll here, where these long stringy fibers exist. And so, what's wrong with my advance? Growing for stock, any of the stock products, you're looking at harvesting in anywhere from 60 to 100 days. The stalks are cut low to the ground and left in the field, and they lay in the field anywhere from 1 to 6 weeks to go through a retting process, which is a biological decomposition similar to hay, where the the bacteria in the field begin to separate the outer bast fiber from that woody core, and then it's baled and sent off for processing after it's finished retting. And then growing for grain is very similar to growing grain in other crops, using typical harvesting equipment. You can expect that 25% of the total biomass, if in a fiber situation, will end up as a finished fiber. And if you were to produce 700 pounds of grain off of an acre, which is a reasonable expectation for grain, and I'm interested to hear from our speakers tonight a little bit more about that, you can get approximately 22 gallons of oil off of 700 pounds of grain. So just some things to keep in mind as we move forward tonight. What is your source for seed? Do you have a source for seed? What kind of equipment do you have access to? Do you have the ability to store and transport biomass or grain? You have enough acreage, or how much acreage are you planning on dedicating to hemp production? And what is your proximity to processing facilities? And then finally, and I think this is a really important thing for everyone to hear over and over again, get a contract. You have to have a contract if you're going to grow, hundreds or possibly even thousands of acres of anything, and it's no different with hemp. So make sure that your contract is, vetted by whoever you ever trust to vet it, and be vigilant in your as you move forward in your relationships with different processors. So that being said, that was just a brief overview to kind of get everyone up on the same page.